The man who once insulted an entire nation just did the unthinkable. U.S. General Michael Langley, after months of tension and controversy, has publicly asked Captain Ibrahim Traoré for forgiveness. No one saw this coming. What triggered the apology? And how did Traoré respond? Watch till the end. This moment may redefine global respect. There are moments in history when truth hits harder than a bullet, and this was one of them. Michel Langley, a high-ranking American official of African origin, once celebrated as a symbol of diasporic success, found himself at the center of a storm. A few weeks ago, he made headlines after publicly criticizing Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young, fearless leader of Burkina Faso. His words weren't just harsh. They were an insult to every African who dares to rise. In a televised interview, Michel boldly accused Captain Traoré of exploiting Burkina Faso's gold resources for personal gain. "He's turning into a dictator," Michel had said, "and he's using his position to enrich himself at the expense of the people." But those words didn't land the way he expected. Social media erupted. African communities in the United States, especially the Black diaspora, turned their backs on him. Thousands of messages flooded the platforms. Comments like, "You've forgotten where you came from. You wear a suit, but you've sold your soul. Traoré is fighting for our liberation and you're trying to stop him." The shame was unbearable. Michel Langley, once praised as a son of the soil, had become a symbol of betrayal. Even elders from his birth village in Senegal released a video message saying, "Michel, you have brought dishonor. You are supposed to lift your brothers, not bring them down. You owe Captain Traoré an apology." And so, after days of silence, Michel reappeared. But this time his tone had changed. No more arrogance, no more polished statements written by advisors. Just a man stripped of pride standing in front of a camera with a face that had clearly lost sleep. "I made a mistake," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I let my position cloud my judgment. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not stealing gold. He is reclaiming what belongs to his people. I was wrong and I apologize." He paused. "This is personal to me because I am African. My roots are African, and in my desire to please the wrong people, I forgot that. I forgot what it means to fight for freedom. Captain Traoré, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I spoke out of ignorance and pressure, not truth." The video went viral. Millions viewed it within hours. Comments poured in, some forgiving, some still angry. But one thing was clear. Michel Langley had been humbled. Across Burkina Faso, people gathered in cafes, markets, and homes to watch the clip. Some were skeptical. Others appreciated the courage it took to admit a mistake on such a large scale. And in Ouagadougou, inside the presidential compound, Captain Ibrahim Traoré watched the video in silence. He didn't say a word. He simply nodded, then turned to his team and said, "Let the people judge him." Our mission continues because for Captain Traoré, the goal was never about gold. It was about sovereignty, dignity, and the right for Africans to control their own destiny. Michael Langley had tried to attack a movement, and in doing so, he had only made it stronger. As expected, the storm is coming. This time, it's not just whispers in the wind or backdoor diplomacy. No, this is official, calculated, and straight from the heart of global power. The United States has now locked its eyes on Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and if history has taught us anything, this is not a good sign. At the center of this new offensive stands General Michael Langley, not just any man, but the head of the United States Africa Command, ARICOM. A powerful black man, a symbol of America's military authority on the continent, and yet instead of using that power to uplift, he has chosen to point fingers. He accused Captain Ibrahim Traoré of the unthinkable, using Burkina Faso's gold reserves not for the benefit of his people, but to fund his own security and protection. Let that sink in. A leader who has risked his life to free his country from the grip of neo-colonial exploitation is now being accused of selfishness. A man who said no to foreign mining companies who demanded that gold serve the people and not outsiders is now being painted as a villain. But here's the thing, we've seen this movie before. You don't even need to think hard, just close your eyes for a second. Remember the last time a powerful black man in the United States accused an African leader of corruption, of tyranny, of exploitation? Yes, you remember now, Libya, Gaddafi. Back then it was Barack Obama himself, the first black president of the United States, who led the charge. He stood in front of the world and said Gaddafi had to go, that he was a dictator, that he was harming his people, and just like that, the most revolutionary leader Africa had seen in decades was murdered in cold blood in the streets. And what happened next? Libya was torn to pieces. A once thriving nation collapsed into chaos. Slave markets returned. Terror ruled the streets. And the people, the very people America claimed to be protecting, they lost everything. That's the script. That's the exact blueprint. They demonize the leader, they spread the lies. They say it's for the people. And when the dust settles, nothing is left but pain. Now they want to run that same play on Ibrahim Traoré. But this time, Africa is watching. The people are more awake than ever. We're not as naive as we were in 2011. We've seen how the empire moves. We've seen how it uses even its own sons like Langley to destroy real revolutionaries. And Captain Traoré is no ordinary leader. He's young, yes, but his heart beats for justice. He walks with the people. He speaks their language. He eats what they eat, sleeps where they sleep. He is not driven by greed but by purpose. When General Langley made his statement, the internet exploded. African youth across the globe called it what it was, a smear campaign, a psychological attack to prepare for something worse. Sanctions, isolation, or worse, a coup. But this time, it won't be easy because Traoré is not alone. Millions are behind him, not just in Burkina Faso, but in Mali, in Niger, in Congo, in South Africa, in the Caribbean, in Europe, in America. The children of Africa, scattered across the world, are standing up. They've read the script, and this time they're writing a different ending. It's 2025 now, and things have changed. Gone are the days when the Western world could spread a narrative and expect the rest of us to accept it blindly. Those times are over. Africans, especially the people of Burkina Faso, are awake. They see, they understand, and they are ready to defend what's rightfully theirs. We know better now. And the West, they should know by now that we know better. They should know this won't go unnoticed. Not this time. Not under our watch. And especially not under the watch of the Burkina Faso people. Because if there is one thing they have made clear to the world, it is this. They stand with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, with love, with loyalty, with unshakable admiration. When there are whispers of coups or threats from the shadows, the people of Burkina Faso don't hide, they don't run. They surround his home, they form human shields. Men, women, even children standing as one. Not because they've been ordered to, but because they believe in what Captain Traoré is doing. They've seen it. They felt it. They live it. He is not just a leader. He is their leader. One of them, a soldier who became a servant of the people. But now, let's talk about what just happened, because the timing is no coincidence. Just one day ago, Burkina Faso issued an official statement. Another attempted coup. Another effort to destabilize the country. Another plan to remove the captain from power. Now, pause and think. When did this happen? Exactly when General Michael Langley, the head of AFRICOM, was in the U.S. Senate saying that Ibrahim Traoré was misusing gold reserves to protect his regime. Coincidence? We don't think so. Let's go back and listen to what Langley said during that session. You know, whether it's their gold reserves, all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the YA regime. He said this with full confidence in front of the U.S. Senate, not behind closed doors, not as an opinion, but as a declaration. A military leader telling the American government that gold in Burkina Faso is being funneled for regime protection, not for the people. This is not just rhetoric. This is a message. They are laying the groundwork. They are preparing the narrative. They are crafting the justification for potential intervention. They want the world to believe that Traoré is corrupt, that the government is illegitimate, and that something must be done. But we know better. And Burkina Faso knows better. Let's be clear. What Ibrahim Traoré has done for his people in just a short time cannot be ignored. He has redirected mining profits. He has prioritized education, healthcare, and local development. He has fought terrorism without relying on foreign armies. He has lifted the spirit of an entire generation. And that's the problem. He's independent. He's not waiting for Western aid. He's not signing unfair contracts. He's not bowing to neo-colonial pressure. And when an African leader does that, the empire reacts. But this time, their playbook is exposed. The people are no longer just listening to what's said on CNN or BBC. They're watching closely. They're questioning. They're digging deeper. And they're calling BS when they see it. So when Langley stood in front of the U.S. Senate and said those words, he didn't just insult Ibrahim Traoré. He insulted the millions of Africans who see him as a symbol of hope. But we're not silent anymore. This isn't Libya 2011. This is Africa 2025. And the people are guarding their future with fire in their eyes and truth in their hearts. That's the narrative they're selling to the world. That's the message they're broadcasting loud and clear. Burkina Faso is unstable. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is a problem. Something must be done. But guess what? We're not falling for it again. The people of Burkina Faso, they've seen this game before, and this time, they're not playing along. Following the firestorm sparked by General Michael Langley's accusations, the government of Burkina Faso came forward with a powerful and precise announcement. No speculation, no hidden hands, just facts. On national television, Security Minister Mohamed Sana, the face of security in a country fighting on every front, dropped a bombshell. He revealed that a major coup attempt had just been foiled. And not just any coup, one carefully crafted, well-financed, and deadly in its ambition. According to the government, the plot involved current soldiers, former military personnel, and yes, leaders of terrorist groups, enemies of the nation working hand in hand, enemies of the people forming one dark alliance. Their mission to take the presidential palace, to capture or kill Captain Ibrahim Traoré, to destroy everything the people have been fighting for. And the date, April 16th, 2025. Let that sink in. While the U.S. was pointing fingers, while Langley was spinning stories in the Senate, forces were already in motion on the ground, planning to throw Burkina Faso into chaos. But it didn't work because Traoré is not sleeping. His team is not blind, and the Burkina Faso people are watching everything. This is not the first coup attempt since Captain Traoré seized power in 2022, and it likely won't be the last because every time he takes a step towards sovereignty, someone tries to pull him back. Every time he lifts a finger to protect his land, someone from the outside wants it chopped off. But there's something different this time. The people are with him. Even in the face of jihadist threats, with over 40% of the country still under the grip of terrorist groups, Captain Traoré has remained unshaken. Instead of begging for crumbs from old colonial powers, he has turned to alternative partnerships. He has reached out to Russia. He has dared to imagine a future without France, without the U.S., without exploitation. And that right there is why they want him gone. Let's be real. This isn't just about gold. It's not just about terrorism. It's not even about Burkina Faso alone. It's about a new African spirit, one that dares to dream without Western approval. Minister Sana didn't stop there. He revealed that this coup attempt had foreign ties, direct connections to Ivory Coast. That's right. The plan wasn't just local. It was part of a bigger map, a regional destabilization, likely influenced by international whispers and hidden hands pulling strings from far away. And guess what? Just a week before, the authorities had already arrested several military officers accused of plotting against the state. They're cleaning house. They're getting stronger. And they're calling out every name, every country, and every traitor involved in this dirty game. Make no mistake, they want to turn Burkina Faso into another Libya. They want to replace Traoré with a puppet. They want to turn the people's revolution into dust. But it's not 2011. This is 2025. And the people are wide awake. As the lies flood, global headlines, truth is holding its ground in Ouagadougou, and while the West prepares press conferences and congressional hearings, the Burkina Faso people are preparing for defense. Because when you have a leader who loves his people and a people who love their leader, there is no force strong enough to break that bond. Let's not sugarcoat this. Someone wants Ibrahim Traoré out. And trust me, it's not the people of Burkina Faso. In fact, it's the exact opposite. The people of Burkina Faso love him, and not just them. Africans across the continent and throughout the diaspora love this man. We see through the noise. We see the pressure, and we see exactly why the world is panicking. Because in a very short time, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has done more for his country than most leaders do in decades. Let me show you why he's making them uncomfortable. First, he built something that no leader before him had managed to accomplish. Burkina Faso's first ever gold refinery. That's right. For the first time in history, this West African country can refine its own gold on its own land without begging for help or exporting raw resources to be processed abroad and sold back to them at double or triple the price. This is economic independence in action, and he didn't stop there. Second, Captain Traoré nationalized 2 gold mines, Bong and Wan. These mines were previously under foreign control. Endeavour Mining, a Canadian company, had agreed to sell them for $300 million. But guess what Traoré's government did? They negotiated the price down to $80 million. You heard that right, from $300 million to $80 million. That's a deal that not only saves money, it proves that the Burkina Faso government is putting the nation first, not foreign corporations. That alone should tell you that he's not playing by their rules. And that's exactly why they want him out. Now, let's talk about infrastructure, because development is not just about gold. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso approved a major expansion of the Bobo Dioulasso Airport, the second largest hub in the country. The investment $80 million CFA. This modernization will make the country more accessible, more connected, and more powerful on a regional and international level. Everything Traoré is doing, from natural resources to national infrastructure, is part of a clear and focused vision. Give Burkina Faso back to its people. But when a black man leads with courage, when he refuses to be a puppet, and when he starts putting his country ahead of the interests of former colonial masters, he becomes a target. That's why there are whisper campaigns. That's why there are coups being planned. That's why people like General Michael Langley are standing in front of the U.S. Senate fabricating stories. Because Traoré isn't stealing gold. He's guarding it, not for himself, for his people. And they know it. We see it. The youth sees it. The African continent sees it. The diaspora sees it. That's why they can't fool us this time. Not now. Not ever again. What Captain Ibrahim Traoré is doing in Burkina Faso isn't just governance, it's a revolution. Not with bullets, not with blood, but with tractors, with clinics, with cotton, with unity. Let's break it down. He launched Burkina Faso's first ever National Support Center for Artisanal Cotton Processing. Let that sink in. Burkina Faso is the largest producer of cotton in all of Africa. And yet for decades it had to rely on foreign companies to process and export that cotton. That means the money left the country just as fast as the raw materials did. But now the cotton stays here. The jobs stay here. The profits right back into Burkina Faso hands. That's what real leadership looks like, and still there's more. He expelled French troops from Burkina Faso, officially ending Operation Barkhane. This wasn't just a political move, it was a message. A message to the world that Burkina Faso will no longer host military powers that claim to fight terrorism but leave destruction and division in their wake. A message that African sovereignty is not negotiable, and when he sent them out, he didn't leave his people defenseless. Instead, he armed the future. He empowered farmers and agricultural investors with 400 tractors, 953 motorcycles, 710 motor pumps, 10,000 tons of fish. Feed 68,964 tons of fertilizer, and 10,000 L of essential agricultural products. This wasn't just charity. It was strategy, because Traoré understands no country can rise if its farmers are weak. He's not feeding dependency. He's feeding self-sufficiency. Then there's what he did diplomatically. He joined forces with Niger and Mali to form the Alliance of Sahel States, the world's only current confederation. That's right. A new political, military, and economic bloc built by Africans for Africans without begging for validation from the West. That is Pan-Africanism in action. But it didn't stop there. Captain Ibrahim Traoré took a bold step by removing French as an official language, replacing it with Burkina Faso's native languages. Think about that. For decades, Burkina Faso, like many African nations, was told that, in order to be modern, they must abandon their tongues and speak the language of their colonizers. But Traoré said no. He said, "We will speak the languages of our ancestors. We will learn in them. We will build in them. We will lead in them." That's not just politics. That's dignity. And when it comes to health, the captain is not playing games. He supplied the Ministry of Health with 15 mobile clinics, 36 vehicles, 3 oxygen units, and more medical infrastructure on the way. This is a man who understands that a strong nation starts with healthy people. In a world where leaders buy luxury cars and private jets, Traoré is investing in mobile health for rural villages. He's not hiding behind palaces. He's moving with the people. So when you hear Western generals, media outlets, or foreign powers accuse him of corruption or mismanagement, ask yourself, what are they really afraid of? Because it's not about gold. It's not about coups. It's not about protecting democracy. It's about control. And he's taken it back for the people, for the future, for Africa. When a leader does right by his people, he doesn't need bodyguards. He has the people. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has now survived 5 coup attempts. 5. Not because he runs and hides, not because he compromises, but because his people refuse to let go of him. Let that sink in. When the latest coup attempt was unfolding, the people didn't run away. They surrounded the presidential palace. They were willing to put their lives on the line for one man. Not because he's perfect, not because they're blind, but because they see something the rest of the world refuses to see. They see a man who is building cold storage rooms so food doesn't rot in the heat, distributing 835 tablets to empower students with digital tools, delivering 1900 solar P-powered refrigerators across the country. Not for luxury, but for life-saving medicine and food preservation. This is what leadership looks like. This is nation building. In a world where politicians hoard wealth, flee when things get hard, and serve foreign interests before their own, Traoré stays. He fights, he builds, he protects, and now his people protect him. They don't just chant his name in the streets. They stand as human shields around him because they know if they lose him, they lose their future. And we as Africans, as members of the diaspora, as citizens of the world, we must not let the world twist this story. Ibrahim Traoré is not the villain. He's the leader so many of us have prayed for. And as the world watches, as foreign powers plot, as old colonial ghosts whisper behind closed doors, we must stay alert. We must stay loud. We must stay united. Because what Burkina Faso is showing the world is clear. When the people lead, no enemy can succeed. Let's stay vigilant. Let's protect our own. Let's pray for this man. Because in this world of betrayal and corruption, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is a rare gem. And when you find a gem, you don't throw it away. You guard it with your life. So fam, now it's your turn to speak. What do you think about this so-called coup attempt? What do you think about General Michael Langley, who dares speak about caring for Africans while backing the very systems that have kept us down for decades? Don't be fooled. The same hands that dropped bombs on Libya, that armed coups in the Congo, that assassinated leaders from Sankara to Lumumba, want to tell us who the bad guy is in 2025. We see through it now, and we're saying, never again. Let them hear us loud and clear. We stand with Ibrahim Traoré. We stand with Burkina Faso. And we stand with every leader who chooses their people before profit. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make noise. Share this. Let the world know we're awake now. Stay blessed. Stay strong. And may God continue to protect Captain Ibrahim Traoré, because his mission is bigger than politics. It's about the soul of Africa. Fam, after everything we've discussed, it's clear that we are living in a time when power games are being manipulated by those who have for far too long controlled the agenda of our continent. But it's also evident that Captain Ibrahim Traoré represents a beacon of hope in an Africa striving for sovereignty, independence, and dignity. He embodies this change, this fierce will to take back control of our destiny. The attacks on him are not just personal. They are symbolic. This is a battle against a global system that seeks to keep Africa in a state of dependency. But today we can no longer close our eyes. We can no longer allow leaders like Traoré to be targeted by those who want to divide us, exploit us, and impoverish us even more. Let's look at the facts. Captain Ibrahim Traoré came to power in a country torn by chaos, internal and external wars, and a population in suffering. But instead of giving into pressure, he chose to build a future for his people. In just 2 years, he has done more for his country than many leaders have done in decades. Investments in key infrastructure, industrializing gold, improving agricultural conditions, advancements in healthcare, and so much more. He didn't hesitate to challenge foreign powers, expelling French troops, revaluing local language and culture, and giving his people the means to defend themselves against extremists. This is not politics. It's concrete action. It's commitment to the lives of his citizens. Ibrahim Traoré is an example of determined leadership that places his people above all else. The accusations coming from Michael Langley and by extension the Western propaganda machine are baseless. They try to paint Traoré as a dictator solely interested in his own gain. But this narrative doesn't hold up against his actions. On the contrary, it serves those who continue to exploit our resources without giving anything back. Africa's gold has always been pillaged to enrich foreign powers. But Ibrahim Traoré has decided to put those riches in the hands of his people, fairly and transparently. Yet despite all these efforts, despite all these victories, he is under attack, and this isn't the first time. Think about the assassination of Thomas Sankara. Think about the destabilization of Gaddafi. Think about the struggles for sovereignty led by giants like Lumumba and Nkrumah. Those who rise against the system, those who truly want Africa to take its independence, are always targeted. And today, it's Ibrahim Traoré at the center of this storm. But I am convinced that we, the African people, will not make the same mistake this time. It's time to raise our voices. It's time to support those who are showing us the way forward, towards autonomy, towards independence, and towards dignity. We must not allow our leaders to be silenced. We must defend Ibrahim Traoré not just for him but for all of us, because he is not just a president of Burkina Faso. He is a symbol of a unified continent, a free Africa, one that can rise for itself. And that's the real question. What kind of Africa do we want? An Africa where our resources are stolen by foreign powers, where our children grow up in poverty and dependency, where history repeats itself and we're led to believe we are incapable of running our own affairs? Or an Africa where Ibrahim Traoré and other visionary leaders are supported and protected, where our wealth is used to better our lives, where our voice is heard on the global stage? An Africa that understands that unity is our strength and that independence is our right. It's time to say no to those who want to divide us. It's time to say yes to unity, sovereignty, and freedom. The people of Burkina Faso understand this. They know what their leader represents for them. They have protected him, risked their lives for him, because they know he stands for something greater than themselves. And we as the diaspora must align ourselves behind them. We must show them that we are united, that their struggle is our struggle. So I invite you to share this video, to talk about it with those around you, to raise awareness for those who may still be unaware of this reality. Together we must stand firm. We must safeguard our heritage, our leaders, and our future. Because this fight is not just about one man. It's the fight for all of Africa. May God protect Ibrahim Traoré and protect all those who are fighting for a dignified, strong, and free Africa. Thank you for raising your voice. For months, the tension between U.S. military power and African sovereignty had been building. At the center of it stood two figures from vastly different worlds: U.S. General Michael Langley, representing a history of Western military dominance, and Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, representing Africa's rising defiance and dignity. Langley's earlier comments about Burkina Faso had stirred global controversy. Accusations, veiled threats, and patronizing remarks had cast a shadow over diplomatic relations and fueled a wave of outrage throughout the African continent. Captain Traoré, true to form, responded not with anger, but with strength. He doubled down on his vision for independence, transparency, and a new era of leadership where Africa would no longer be spoken down to. But in an unexpected turn, General Langley has now issued a public apology, something few believed would ever happen. In a carefully worded statement during a press conference in Washington, Langley said, "My recent comments about Burkina Faso were made without full understanding of the nation's history, leadership, and goals. I want to publicly ask Captain Ibrahim Traoré and the people of Burkina Faso for forgiveness." The moment sent shockwaves across media platforms. Why now? Analysts say the growing global support for Traoré, the unity among African nations rallying behind him, and the clear pushback against foreign interference may have forced a recalibration. Langley's apology wasn't just about words. It was about the shifting balance of power, and Captain Traoré's response? It was graceful, but firm. "We are not enemies," Traoré said in a televised statement. "We are guardians of different worlds, perhaps, but we must learn to speak with respect, not dominance. Forgiveness is a virtue of the strong, and I choose to forgive, so long as that forgiveness leads to real change." His words drew a thunderous reaction across Africa. Social media erupted with pride, not just because of the apology, but because of how Traoré handled it. Dignity, strength, grace under fire. Youth leaders called it a masterclass in diplomacy. Elders called it a sign of healing, and even critics began to acknowledge that something powerful was happening. A rare moment where truth and reconciliation seemed possible in a world too often divided by ego and empire. But make no mistake, this wasn't a surrender, it was a shift. A moment when one of the world's most powerful military figures acknowledged the voice of a young African captain who refused to bow and proved that respect must be earned, not imposed. Captain Ibrahim Traoré didn't demand the apology. He inspired it, and in doing so, he showed that Africa's new generation of leaders isn't just ready to fight, they're ready to lead, with wisdom, with vision, and above all, with the quiet power of knowing that history is finally listening.